Alright, what is up guys, Azura here, and today we're back again with another deck profile featuring even more fish. So this time we're going to be taking a look at Ange. So Ange, as a deck, is probably the most generic fish deck because Ange doesn't really have any like super specific support that's specifically meant for her. So Ange is just like is like just a clusterfuck of whatever the best fish cards are thrown together into a deck. So yeah, so you can call this like the good stuff fish deck. So without further ado, let's take a look at the list. So even though I say it is a good stuff fish list, the deck is pretty much a harmony deck. A lot of the cards it plays around with the harmony engine. So I'll just go from top to bottom as per usual. So starter, I'm playing the Akari. So I know Ange can play. I think it's like the starter is like a Loris, I think, but I like the Akari just because she has harmony, and her skill is just a bounce a card and draw one. So if you don't know what she does, GB1, if she's in harmony, you can put it to your soul, choose up to one of your readers and return to your hand, and then draw one. So it can proc any of your unbounce effects. Not that I think there's too many in this deck, but like can let you bounce cards to draw, goes to soul. Soul is actually pretty important in this deck too, so her going to soul is definitely pretty nice. So that's starter, grade ones. We were playing two Shandis, two of the Stride Fodder. A Stride Fodder is here more so to help you search for the Loris as a backup ride, because one of the biggest issues with this deck is actually getting to your Ange. As you can see here, there's if you don't know, we'll go over these cards after, but none of these cards actually search for Ange, your main grade 3 ride. So it definitely really sucks that not having a way to get to your Ange is definitely, in my opinion, the biggest issue with this deck. So having the Shandi as a way to search for an alternate ride that isn't terrible is, in my opinion, pretty decent. So we're playing two of that. 4 of the Harmony PG. The actual Harmony skill might come up because you might be calling it just to proc Harmony on some cards, but it has Harmony, and then the skill is at the end of the turn, if this unit is in Harmony, you can discard a card and add it back to your hand. So from the board. So you can slam her down as a booster, something just to proc harmony, and then you can bounce her back to hand afterwards. So pretty nice there. We're playing 3 of her. So she also has harmony, and her skill is when this unit becomes a harmony, I think it's choose one of your units with the is in harmony that has a GB2 possessing ability and give it plus 3k, and then you also give it itself and that unit resist. So basically, when she comes to harmony, she gets 3k. She gives herself and the unit, a unit with the GB2 possessing ability also has harmony resist as well. It does not have to be the unit that it is in harmony with, so you can like split it within 2 columns. And the skill is also not once per turn, or actually no, it is once per turn. But if you bounce her back to your hand, let's say the starter, you can place her back down and put her into harmony again and give resist to another card. So this card is pretty nice because it can give resist to your board, which is definitely just a nice thing to have. And finally, we're playing 4 of this Akari. So her skill is harmony, and then at the end of battle, this unit either attacked or boosted hits. If she is in harmony, you can put her into your soul to draw 1, and then choose up to one of your harmony possessing rearguard and bounce it to your hand. So it's just a soul in, draw 1, and so that's pretty nice because then this deck needs a soul. So that's of grade 1s, grade 2s. Spica, she's your extender. Not much else to say. Basically, every fish deck that isn't xenophobic will play Spica to some degree because having an extender is really nice. We're playing 1 of her, so she has harmony, and then on a rearguard circle on hit to Van, if she's in harmony, you can CC 1, then you can bounce her back to your hand if you want to. So CC is nice. This deck isn't too CP heavy, so you definitely don't need too many of her, but you're mainly playing just because she has harmony, and CC every once in a while can be cool. Next off, we're playing 4 of her. So she has harmony, and then her first skill requires you to have a Loris Vanguard. The skill is irrelevant. You don't really care about the skill. The main reason you're playing her is because she has harmony and she has GB2 with a somewhat relevant skill. So the skill that actually does work in this deck is if she is in harmony, she gets plus 3k for every 2 of your units in the harmony state. So basically, if you have a full board of units in harmony, she gets plus 9. If just your rears are in harmony, you get plus 6, etc., etc. So big beater, has harmony, has GB2. So that's we're playing 4 of her. And then a card that helps with the early game is the Shandi. So her skill is, so she has Harmony, and then rear at the start of your battle phase, if the number of units you have with a Harmony possessing ability is 3 or more, CB1 to draw one, she has plus 5k. So she can draw you cards early. And she also gets big, so she can scale early game. So it's pretty nice there, and that's what we're playing for her. And that's it for the grade 2s. And grade 3, as for the triggers, you see I'm playing full crits here. I think this deck does actually plus quite a bit. I think this deck can facilitate a full aggro trigger lineup. But the downside of playing full aggro triggers is that no draws early game mean you have even less chances to see your ride. So take that as you will. If you want to play draws, I think it's fine too. But you do, but my biggest issue with playing draws in this deck is that if you play draws, a lot of times you cannot use Ange's stride bonus to its fullest potential because you end up overhanding with your cards. So that's why I'm personally playing crits. But again, you can play draws if you want. You can play splits if you want as well. But I personally just see it as I'll either play full aggro or I'll play full draws. So I just want to play full aggro. That's why I'm playing 9 crit. So first off, heal guards. We'll actually go over the Ange because I did talk about her stride bonus. So her first skill is GB2. The cards you pay for stride cost, you can call onto the board. So basically, whatever you just on first stride, you always go into something that flips, so you hit the GB2, and then basically second stride onwards, any card that you ditch a stride cost, you can call back onto your board. So that's why we're playing. That's why we're not playing too many stride fodder, because you really only need to pay stride cost for the first stride, and she has a way to search stride fodder by herself. So not really the biggest need for stride fodder in this deck. And then every stride onwards, you can ditch. You can just whatever you ditch, you can just call back onto the board. So you can just ditch pieces and then call them back. So she basically tries to free, which is really nice. And then her stride bonus or her end on place. So basically, if you're going first, you can still use it. But basically her stride bonus is you can Soul Blast 1, choose a circle. Choose a unit on a circle that is not the van and bounce at your hand up to 1 on both sides. Then I think if you bounce one of your opponent's units, you draw 1, and if you bounce one of your own units, you can search your deck for any card with a GB2 possessing ability. I might have gotten these two messed up, but basically, if you bounce your opponent's unit, you get an effect. You bounce one of your units, you also get an additional effect. And as you can see here, this is plus 3 cards to your hand because you draw 1, which is 1. You search a card, which is 2, and then the card you bounce your hand is also another card back to your hand. So that's 3 cards back to your hand. So that's why going over hand is very likely with this deck with playing a full draw. So you can't fully use her stride bonus fully if you have too many cards in your hand. But this is a really strong effect because one, it lets you bounce locked cards. This card cannot get over resist because it's not choosing specifically a circle. I think the exact wording on this card is that it chooses a unit on a circle, so it's still choosing the unit, so it doesn't get over resist. But since it's still choosing a circle, it is still, you can choose to bounce locked cards on either side of the board, which is pretty cool. And then it's a +2 on its own because you draw 1 and you search a GB2 possessing unit. So that's why units with a GB2 possessing ability are pretty important in this deck. The main grade 2 we're playing, or there's only one grade 2 that's actually good in my opinion. That's her that you play. So just so you can have grade 2 search out, and when I say you can start stride fodder out, you can basically just search another copy of herself because she herself has a GB2 possessing ability. So Ange as a card is actually really strong. It's just that I think the main issue with this deck is that the cards surrounding her, there's just not any good enough dedicated support for Ange. It's just kind of like Ange herself is a really good card, but the cards surrounding her just are not that good. So yeah, Ange herself really good card. Next we're playing 2 lores, so her skill is she also has GB2, but she has Harmony as well. So GB2, she's on Harmony, she's +5, and then she's on Vanguard, she gets an additional crit. So on rear, she's a 16k attacker, so she's not completely useless as a rear. She's still kind of big. And then on stride, you can draw 1, CB1 draw 1, and then I actually do not. And then I think choose up to 2 of your rears and bounce them to your hand. But yeah, she's a not terrible backup ride because she still draws you 1 on stride every turn if you want to. So yeah, playing 2 of her, and I'm playing 3 of the grade 3 Spica. So she has Harmony, and then GB1 when a card is placed, I think by an effect, or yeah, I think card is placed by effect, she gets she herself, and then you can get plus 2k, she can scale stuff, and then when this unit attacks a Van, if she's in Harmony, you can Soul Blast 1 CB1, balance a card in the Harmony state back to your hand, and choose a card that is not a Spica and call it. So another extender, and a card that can make your rears really, really big. So yeah, pretty good, because her main player just gives you an extra extender, but her power gain effect is actually pretty relevant as well. A play that you'd make a lot of times is you slam the Spica behind the Van just to proc Harmony, which is pretty nice, and then as you're extending with your rears and stuff, she'll constantly pump power as cards are being called out. So very, very nice there. And that's it for the main deck. As for the G Zone, we're playing a 1 Megiddo. You do not need to play this. I'm playing this because I have it. Harmonics, you do need to play this, but Harmonics is Harmonics. One of her, the Frederica, I think. She's basically just here as a stride, where if for whatever reason you have 0 CB to play with, she is a card that can flip. But her skill is Harmony. And then I think if Fred was on hit or end of battle, you flip a card in your G Zone. Choose one of you bounce a card, and you call a card with Harmony. It's basically Somni, but it has Harmony stuff tacked onto it, and it gives the unit +5. So it's a Somni that flips, that makes your stuff bigger, basically. I do not remember the exact wording on this card, or nor the exact effect, because you just don't go into it very often. But yeah, it is just the one of. You can cut like a Turdia if you want, and her play a set of Olivia's if you want. I think that's perfectly fine. Next, we're playing 2 of the Ange Stride. So despite this deck being an Ange deck, the Ange Stride is not actually used too often. Her skill is once per GB2, once per turn, CB2. She flip any card in your G Zone face up, and bounce any number of units on circle. So again, she also does not get over resist, and bounce them back to the respective player's hands, so you can bounce stuff on either side of the board. If you she gets +5k for every card bounced. If you bounced 5 or more, draw 1. If you bounce 7 or more, she gets when this unit attacks, draw 1. She gets drive +1. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, she's mainly here just to deal with lock or a bunch of back row intercepts. But you play her because she's solid. CB2 is actually pretty heavy, still pretty heavy on cost, but it's fine. The card is pretty solid for what it is. Next off, we're playing 3 Turdias. So despite this not being a Shushu deck, she's still a we'll just ignore the first skill that needs a Shushu Heart, but you're really playing here for the second skill, GB3 once per turn. At the end of this unit attack, put 3 rear guards back to ball in your deck. If you put 3, stand her, draw 1, drive -2. So she is a Van restand. Aside from Alk, she is your main like finisher. That's why we're playing 3 of her. Realistically, you only need 2. I'm only playing 3 like just in case you might want the 3 for whatever reason. But yeah, Turdia, definitely one of your finishers, and then your main first stride, and then sometimes usually a second turn onwards is the Alk. So she has Harmony, and then once per turn, CB1, G flip, bounce 2 of your units with Harmony back to your hand. So it's very, very easy in this deck because you're playing a bunch of units with Harmony already, and she gets the Van skill. This unit attacks. You can choose. For every face-up card in your G Zone +1, you can choose rears and mounts back to your hand, and then choose 2 cards from your hand and call them. So basically, rear swing, Van swing, bounce 2, call 2. Basically, is what you're doing with this a lot of time. And then GB3, I think all your units with Harmony get +5k, something like that. She makes her stuff bigger, so it's very, very, very nice. So it's like first on second stride onwards, if you go into her, she makes her calls bigger as well. So yeah, definitely very nice. I do think this deck needs 4 Alks because realistically she should always be your first stride, and then second stride onwards you want an extra pair in case you want to go into it. So yeah, so that's it for the deck profile. Again, this is another for fun deck in my opinion, but regardless, I think the deck's still pretty. It's like a solid fish deck, but again, it's definitely outclassed by Coral. But regardless, we will get on to some games with this deck. So I will see you guys there. So for our first game, we are playing as Pale Moon, but a little spoilers. This deck my opponent's deck is a very, very big pile, but I thought this deck was still a pretty good shot to think, because this deck, in this first game, I basically got to show up everything that this deck realistically wants to do. So yeah, even though my opponent's deck was not the best, I think this game still showed off what this deck is would like to be doing every single game. So you look at this, you're like, oh yeah, that's the correct starter, right? I think, and you see, I think the first ride was pretty solid. Was a card that you normally see in Hari too. I think it's I think they ended up riding like uh, Paratrooper, I think. Oh, let me go back to, huh? Yeah, I think just yeah, they ride. Took a while to ride, but yeah. So you ride. They're taking a long time, but yeah. I would say early in this deck, for basically the card you're trying to draw into is the Shandi and the Akari. Try to dig through your deck. Try to dig for Ange. Again, here as you can see, I don't have a way to actually get to my Ange. I'm just basically hoping I draw one at some point. So we ride swing pass. Not really a reason to aggro here, and see here the pile starts to show itself. Yeah, so he rides that. I guess Ange bouncing stuff also pretty nice against random stuff like Dreamy Fortress. I guess not that Dreamy Fortress comes up very often or you see it at all anymore, but you know it does come against random jank like this. So he does his thing. You can see even more jank in his deck. And he gave us 2 CB here to play with, so that means we can actually use both Shandis if we want to try to dig for cards. So you can see here I draw into like 3 Speakers and not a single Ange, so that really sucks. And here I proctor requirements for both, so here I can draw 2. So here we drew the Ange. And we draw into another trigger. So my hand right now is just a bunch of triggers, which really sucks. But Ange does have the ability to tutor for at least 1 intercept, so that's very nice. So I'll have at least 1 intercept next turn. My deck has 3 triggers on top of the deck. So even though we drew into 4 actually, we drew a crit for turn, we drew 2 more crits, and then we still flipped the crit. So you know, that's pretty cool. I guess we managed to push him all the way to 4. This deck's early game is actually really strong with Shandi in my opinion, because not only do you get to draw cards, make up for the cards you slam onto the board, you also get to scale. So your opponent doesn't put up intercepts, you can actually like push for a lot of damage here. So here my opponent does whatever he's trying to do with his pile, and next turn we actually just kill him straight up. So we kill on first try, which is something that doesn't really happen too often. But with a deck like this from my opponent's side, not the most outrageous thing in the world. So here we had defensive, so we only have 1 CB to play with, but that is more than enough to end the game next turn, because Alk is only 1 CB. Yeah, so here we draw, we ride the Ange, we use Ange's on place, we bounce 1 of ours, we bounce 1 of the opponent's, draw 1, and then get the search card GB2. So here we search for an intercept, so we actually have an intercept to play with, and then we go into the Alk. Alk is, again, your usual first try in this deck, as long as you have the 1 CB. Very rare that you would not have a CB to play with here with Alk. Before you might have gone like Damage 9 or something, but Harmonics basically says that's not to happen. The only way I can see you maybe not having a CB for this is if you're like shotgunned like in this game where you shotgunned like 2 Shandis and then just didn't want to ping yourself with the Harmonics, in which case you'd go into the Frederica here. But here we took the damage, so we're just gonna go into the Alk. So CB1, bounce 2 for cost. Here we put the speaker behind the van. So like I said, next part of the video, you put the speaker behind the van. So when you actually extend with stuff like the Alk, you get even more power. As you can see here, we also bounced the grade 1 twice. We actually got the procker twice. Not that the extra resist was needed on the card twice, but here we swing. That's our 1 heal guard, and then we swing at the Alk. We bounce 2, and then we just extend. We get to extend again. So here. We bounce 2, call 2. Our columns are really big because both speakers proc here. Yeah, so you see here a bunch of power gains. I think each of them got plus 4k plus whatever power they have by themselves. So here that asks for a PG now. We put the trigger, and we scale over a potential 6 steal here. No 6 steal, so yeah. So that's it for game 1. That is honestly like one of the ideal scenarios that can go through, where you just like flip crits and you just aggro the opponent to death, and then you just die on Alk first strike. Because even though this doesn't hit as big numbers as something like Coral, for example, you're still hitting like with that booster specifically and the double rare GB2 girl, you do hit like pretty good enough numbers. Obviously not nearly as good as Alk, or not Alk, as Coral, but still solid enough. And here you get to see a matchup where this deck actually would thrive in if it was actually a good deck, being Glendios. because obviously, or I guess just Link Joker in general, because obviously Link Joker tries to lock your stuff, your board and stuff, but you know, Ange, both Anges, both the triple, both the grade 3 and the grade 4, they can bounce locked circles. So definitely, this is definitely, I'd say, probably Glendios's one of I guess any Bermuda deck would be Glendios's worst matchup, because as you can see, if you just look at like all of the Bermuda decks and their G zones, you notice there's a lot of shared cards in between them, like Ange is in all of them, Alk is in a majority of them, Turdia is in a lot of them. So Bermuda really does just like share its cards across its G zone quite basically every first of the G zone is basically just like a few generics, like the harmonics, probably like a Megiddo, and then you have like some amount of Anges, Turias, Elks, and then whatever deck strides the deck actually wants to be playing. That's like unique to itself. So yeah, the on stride quite good, especially against Link Joker. So honestly, there's not a whole lot. He does his thing. He locks some stuff. Like, good for him. Did he even lock anything here? I would assume he's landing on something to lock, but basically whatever he locks with his Glendios here, I'll just end up bouncing my hand with the Ange. Yeah, he does that. Yeah, he locks the PG. That's fine. That's whatever. And see there, I think I slammed the PG down the turn before just to proc the Harmony, because PG has Harmony, so you just slam it down, the Harmony, and then the Shandi, you can use Shandi to draw cards. So he does this. That's fine. Because I'm just like, it's whatever. He can lock whatever he wants. I'll just bounce it back to my hand on the next turn. So he crits me. I lose 2 crits. Cool, whatever. And here we get to see Glendios just kind of get screwed over by Ange here. So we Soul Blast 1. We bounce our locked card and his card. So he loses the intercept. I get my card back to my hand. He loses the locked card as well. And I get to search for a card. So there's that. And now we go into the Elk, usual first stride stuff. Again, there, if I didn't top deck the Loris as stride fodder, you can just search out an Ange or a Loris as stride fodder if you need to. So very, very nice for that. It's definitely one of the main things that's really nice with this deck, is that this deck will never not have stride fodder, because you can just search it out on ride. So very, very nice there. We can use the Elk here, bounce 2 just to proc her skill, the flip. And here, I guess this is one awkward thing. When you don't have the resist booster, your columns are not that big. So extending with Elk, especially if they have no intercepts on the board, is kind of awkward. So you just kind of, a lot of times, you just kind of have to like flip with Elk, go into Elk, flip, and not actually extend that hard just to get to GB2. Because even if what you call it, even if you're not extending, going into Elk, in my opinion, is still better than going to Frederick, because I think Frederick needs to hit. And so if you like flip a crit or something, you're not hitting anymore, so you can't flip if you didn't hit. So it's kind of awkward. So even if you can't, I think it's still better to just go into Elk just to make sure you get the GB2, because you really do want to be striding for free every turn. So here we flip the crit, so we just give power advance, so we can check ask for PG there. And then the rear circle hit now too, because he did not hit a defensive when he hit a crit. So he counted on a 4, this pushes him to 5. And I think next turn he like finds some way to lock my, yeah, he goes for this, finds some way to lock my board. So like I think like 3 off the top and then 1 off the drop. I don't know why he did it in this order, but that's whatever. I don't even know how the hell I ended up with. I guess Glendio just. I guess it doesn't matter when the reverse reserve. Actually, I've not read this card at all, but I ended up with a fully locked board, and then I just go into Ange, and then he just loses the game from there, because he paid out so many resources just to lock my entire board. He damage knifes me for whatever reason, even though I already have 2 open CV. Yeah, so I ended up locking 4. And then 1 from drop as well. So goodbye, Akari. Unfortunate. So I lock 4. And then he makes me lock 1 from drop. So here I'm just like, oh cool, I'm gonna grab an extender back if I want. Not that I have any CV for it, but you know, you can grab an extender back with it, which is pretty nice. So yeah, here I think I just end up grabbing the Spica, or a Spica of some sort. Yeah. And here we go, and here this is where he loses the game. We go into on. We just toss whatever to stride. Yeah, I'm not tossing a bunch of cards just because like I'm gonna be adding all these cards back to my hand anyway. So I still end up overhanding a card, but here I tossed 4 just so I could overhand a little bit less cards. I don't even use a Shrine bonus because I'm just gonna bounce everything back anyways. So here, and now you get to see the magic of the Ange Stride. So you flip whatever here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I bounce 5 of mine. Just get rid of some of his cards. So I think I just bounce exactly enough just to proc the drive +1. Yeah, we bounce 7 total, so 5 from my board, 2 from his board. We overhand 2 cards, but that's whatever. Our board is completely cleared now. He lost his 1 con and he scoops it up because I don't know what Gladius is doing after like paying that much resources to like lock the board, and then they got their entire board unlocked for basically no cost. But yeah, that is a pretty good example of what happens when Link Joker plays into Ange. They literally lose their win con completely because Ange second try Ange can basically just make sure their board is always cleared out. So that's it for this deck profile. Tell me what you think about this deck down below in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the good stuffs, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.